All right, folks, we're going to go ahead and get started. Thank you all for being here this evening. Happy October 4th and happy National Taco Day. I hope, like me, you got to celebrate with tacos for dinner if you enjoyed them. Otherwise, we're going to move right in. We'll get started with our treasurer's report. But before we do, if this is your first time joining us, we do ask that everyone stay muted unless you're presenting or asking a question, just so we can avoid feedback. And if you happen to forget to mute yourself, I may mute you, which certainly if you do want to ask a question or speak, you'll be able to do so. But just trying to make sure everyone can be heard without any feedback issues. So without further ado, I will turn the floor over to our treasurer, Eric, for our treasurer's report for last month.
Thanks, Jess. Sorry, I had to get everything squared away. Okay. All right, everybody. We will start with our balance sheet as usual. So you can see as of the end of last month, we had a little over $12,500 in checking, a little over $12,000 in savings, and petty cash remains at $551. So you can see there that the breakdown is mostly still staying in the general fund with a little bit of balances in our couple other grants. Any questions on the balance sheet? All right, let's move over to the income statement. So we did have a little bit of activity this month. So we had a couple of memberships came in on the residential side. We did get some maps purchases for the yard sale that's actually this Saturday. And then we had some continued residual income from the summer festival. That was actually most of the petty cash that we had received that then I deposited. And then we did also receive some orders of t-shirts and flags. So you'll see that there in the merchandise. So which brings us total income of a little over $3,000. Moving down to the expenses, you can see we had our normal rent and utilities come in. We did spend a little bit of marketing on Facebook, and then we did pay the order for the t-shirts. So that's the merchandise you see there. And then we also had some additional residual expenses of festival for the festival. So we paid out all of the different reimbursements and activities, etc. From that. So that brings us for the month for a net loss of $2,000, but for the year we're up a little over $4,000 in the black. So any questions on the income statement? All right. Thank you, Jess. I will turn it back over to you.
Thank you so much. All right, everyone, we're going to move right in. We have two zoning applications this evening that we'll be listening to. So I'll just run through the process quickly on those. Our process is that each of those zoning applications will have a total of a 15-minute period for presentations and questions. First 5 minutes, we'll ask the applicant to present and discuss the variances that they're requesting. The second 5-minute period, we will actually take questions from folks. Tate will type those into a document so we can document them all. But rather than have the applicant answer the questions as they come in, we'll take that last 5-minute period to have all of the questions answered at once. Additionally, if you have some comments you want to share about the application that aren't necessarily questions, but things that you feel are important, you can feel free to put those in chat. We will pass those along to the area commission and to the city with our comments. And if for any reason you can't use chat, I'll also open the floor at the end of the presentation so that you can just briefly share those comments. Again, we just need to keep those things brief and make sure we stay within our 15 minutes. So at the end of all of that, we will vote. I will put links into the chat for voting if you are a current member of the Merion Village Association and have been for at least 21 days. You can also get those links directly from our website, merionvillage.org, but we'll get those going, and I will turn the floor over to Tate, who will introduce our first application on Stewart Avenue.
Thanks, Jess. So we're going to get started right away. We have 453 Stewart Avenue. I do see Erdem here to present. The floor is yours. Go ahead, feel free to share your screen if you have anything to present to the group.
Fortunately, I don't have anything to share on the screen. I was just requesting to convert my detached garage into to build a second addition as a studio office. I think I'm looking at the variances. It's so a private garage to increase the allowable height of a detached garage from 15 to 22 feet. And for the occupation of the garage, private garage to allow habitable space next to and in the second story of a detached garage, as well as the detached garage need to be at least 3 feet from property line. So pretty much, oh, thank you. Pretty much, we live in an 1,100 square foot home. I think 1,100, maybe 1,140. My mom is disabled and she was moving closer to us, but decided maybe it makes more sense for her to move in with us. We work from home and we wanted to build an office and, just a larger space for us to be all kind of like, we can all live comfortably. And pretty much that's all I have.
Great. So we'll go ahead and move on to the question portion here. So you should be able to see my screen here. These are the three variants that we just went over. If you have any questions, please go ahead and either raise your hand or type them in the chat.
No hands raised so far, nothing in chat, but we'll give folks a few more minutes. And then if you are by chance using a phone to call in, you can also just feel free to unmute yourself and ask your question.
And Justin, is there?
Okay, looks like we have a question in chat. Tate, if you want to just take that, put that into the document from there. I'm also going to paste the link into chat for voting on this item. If you feel that you are ready to cast your votes and you are a member, please feel free to do so.
Any other questions? If not, we can go ahead and move into the answering portion. So our one question here that was put into chat, asking to increase the existing footprint of the garage and build a second story, correct?
Correct. To build an addition on top of the existing garage.
Okay. Looks like that's all the questions. So folks, please go ahead and head over to that link to vote. Again, you can also vote from the website, but that link in chat is going to be the most convenient way. And that'll just get you right to the ballot. And I'll, of course, give everyone a few moments to vote. Okay, the votes are coming in. Is there anyone that needs another moment to cast their ballot? All right, in that case, I will go ahead and read the results. We received a total of 6 votes. We have some differences here. So for items 1 and 2, oh, I'm sorry, Tate, would you mind just bringing your document back up just so we can show the actual variances as I list off the vote counts, please?
1 second.
Thank you.
I'm going to show the full notice here just once.
Okay. All right, so on items number 1 and 2, we received a total of 6 votes in support, none opposed, and no abstentions. And on item 3, we received a total of 5 votes in support, 1 abstained, and none opposed. So all 3 of those variances do pass through our process of recommendation, and we will of course share those votes and any comments that we receive before the meeting ends through chat with the area commission. So thank you very much for joining us and presenting this. We appreciate your time.
Thank you, you guys. Am I good to go?
Yep, you are all finished with us, and now you can move on to the area commission for their portion.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay, our next one here is going to be 231 to 233 Thurman. They did present a couple months ago, but they have some updated variances for us. So Mark, go ahead whenever you're ready, and feel free to share the screen if you have anything to share with us.
All right, can you see my site plan here?
We can.
All right, so through the last time we presented, pretty much the overwhelming request was that we should eliminate 3 parking spaces to make the area less congested. So last round, these boxes 1, 2, and 3 are parking spaces inside of a carriage house. Last time we had double parked, so we had 6 spaces, and it was couldn't really be any tighter. So we revised that. We got rid of one variance, which would have allowed us to park closer to the property line. So that one is gone, but now we are asking for a variance to reduce the number of parking spaces from 2 parking spaces per unit to 1 parking space per unit. And along with that, we were able to move the building away from the east property line and shift it closer towards Blackberry Alley. So those are the only changes that we made from last time. And I think that's all I've got. If anybody's got any questions.
Okay, I'll go ahead and share my screen with those updated variances. We can go ahead and move on to the question portion. Again, feel free to unmute yourself, raise your hand, and or also use the chat feature to ask your question.
And alternatively, if you are ready to vote, the link is in the chat and you can cast your votes at any time. No questions so far. All right, well, we're just going to leave this open for the next few minutes so folks can cast votes. There's obviously a few more variances on this one, so just want to give everyone time to do that. I'll check back in here in a couple minutes. If any questions do come up in the meantime, please feel free to just unmute yourself and ask your questions.
We have one question in the chat.
Mark, if you'd like to go ahead and just respond to that one, since it seems that might be our only question.
Sure, the new and just. Okay, so the new variance is to, which one is that? So this, it looks like this does not have the new variance in it. The one that we got rid of was number 6. So we got rid of number 6, and we are asking for a new variance to reduce the number of parking spaces.
Okay, 1 second here.
So folks, if you're looking at your ballot, you should see the new variance listed as item number 2, I believe, which is to eliminate 3 parking spaces in order to reduce congestion and shift the building west toward Blackberry Alley. So the ballot does have the updated variance items listed. So those are what you will be voting on. Responding to Zach's question, chat, I believe so. I think it's just that the list we had on the screen tonight was from our first pass of this review a couple of months ago. The notices that went out to neighbors and the notices that went out to members and what's on our website is the current list, and that will also be reflective of what you're all seeing on your ballots. All right, well, looks like we've got 5 votes in. Is there anyone that might still be voting just before I read off the results of this voting session? Okay, looks like the next 2 did come in. So I will go ahead and start reading those results. So let me just scan through here really quickly, see if we have any variations. Okay, we do not. So all 8 items that are listed on the screen, Tate, I think that's the updated version, isn't it? Now, yes, perfect. Okay, so all 8 items as listed on the screen, we received a total of 7 votes in support, no votes opposed, and no abstentions. So all 8 of these variance items pass our recommendation process, and we will of course pass those along to the area commission and city. Once again, if you have any comments you want us to share, please just put those into chat before the end of the meeting and we'll pass those along as well. But otherwise, this completes our process.
Thank you guys very much.
Yes, thank you for returning, and we appreciate you taking those comments from folks at the first meeting to heart and making those changes. So thank you.
Of course. Have a good night.
Have a great evening. Okay, everyone, we are moving right along here. So we will move to our next item, which is to discuss the 2023 Merion Village Board elections. So as you likely know, we have elections every November. Different positions come up. So this year, for a 2-year term, the positions up for election are treasurer, secretary, and member at large, which is a 1-year term. So at present, I'm going to read off the nominees that we have received and ask those nominees to introduce themselves, say hello, let you know why they might like to join the board. What I will also let you know is we currently have 1 nominee for treasurer, 1 nominee for member at large, and no nominees for the secretary position. So we can continue to accept nominations for secretary or any other position until this meeting ends tonight. Then all of those nominations will need to go into the vote next month. If we do not receive a nominee at all for secretary, then that position will be considered to be open for nomination, and we can kind of start that process each month, announce to folks if there is a nominee, and go through a special voting process for that. So without further ado, I will first introduce Zach. I'm not going to try to say your last name because I always say it wrong. So I'm going to introduce you to Zach. Who has been nominated for the member at large position, which again would be a 1-year term. Zach, feel free to have the floor.
Thanks so much, Jess. Hi, everyone. My name is Zach Barczyk. It's a Polish name. I don't even think I pronounce it correctly, but I appreciate it. I live on Fleetvis Avenue. I wanted to nominate myself for this position really because I am happy to slot in where is needed for volunteering with the association. Over the past few years, ever since I moved to the neighborhood, I have volunteered with the festival and also volunteered with the South Side Scholarship Committee. Really want to continue my work with that and just ramp up, like I said, however I can. Really, I know it's all about sort of slotting in where needed in this position. A few things I really like to help with would be really assisting more with volunteer outreach and coordination for all of our major events. I know it's a big year, a big anniversary year for the garden tour, for the festival. And my wife's a teacher at South High, so I know how important the chili cook-off and the scholarship is. So I really just want to make sure that everyone has the amount of support that they need to really knock those out of the park. I know not having enough volunteers can affect turnout, can affect how well the events can run and how big they can get. So I just want to like focus my efforts in on that. I think that'd be the majority of the time where I could assist, but other ideas, I know I'd love to assist with the good neighbor agreements. I know that I'll be attending the upcoming meeting with Open Shelter. I used to assist with those in a prior position, so things similar. So I'd be happy to donate time and really make sure that the association is viewed as a great resource in the neighborhood and a good partner for neighborhood businesses, and make sure it's something that we can turn to, that neighbors and businesses know they can turn to for assistance. I know if there's any other ways to partner with small local businesses, I'd love to assist with that too. I know in terms of sponsorships for large events, that's mainly the way I've seen in sponsoring happy hours, but I'd love to be able to make sure that we're giving back to those small businesses and also make sure that they're able to support us with our programs as well. And then just as another topic area that, if there'd be interest, I'd be happy to support, is I'm big into pedestrian safety. October is Pedestrian Safety Month. I know I have submitted testimony to council on Vision Zero, making sure that our neighborhood is safe for folks with strollers and dogs and themselves, as there's more and more construction around. So just making sure that our neighborhood is as walkable as it can be. So I'd be happy to take questions or share more, but I appreciate everyone's time.
Zach, does anybody have any questions for Zach? Okay, looks like you're off the hook, Zach. No questions yet. So thank you very much for accepting your nomination, and look forward to the election next month. And now I will introduce you to our nominee for treasurer, Dan Lawrence. Dan, the floor is yours if you'd like to introduce yourself and share with folks why you're interested in joining the board.
Sorry, I almost never use Zoom, so it's new to me. Yeah, sorry. Dan Lawrence here. I am running for treasurer. I've been in the village since 2017. I live on Moeller, very close to Lauren and Mike. I've been trying to get more and more involved every year, as long as we're in the area, for different events, the happy hours, the festival, which is unfortunate my wife and I missed this year. But I've now been in my current role with work. I've been an accountant for almost 5 years now. So I figured this might be a good fit for me to kind of help out as best I can. But yeah, that's about it. Sorry, I don't have as much to say as Zach did. I didn't seem like Zach had about a 30-minute script written up, and I've just, just winging it. So yeah, that's about it. If anybody has any questions, let me know.
Thank you so much, Dan. Also, thank you for accepting the nomination. Anyone have any questions for Dan? Everybody's letting you guys off easy tonight with no questions. So, all right, wonderful. We look forward to the election next month. And I will just open the floor. Is there anyone here who would like to nominate themselves or another active member who lives in Merion Village for the secretary position, which is a 2-year term that starts in January, along with the other terms?
Zach, you got off lucky because I was about to nominate you for secretary until I found out you were running for member at large. So lucky you.
Okay. All right.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, I don't know whether that's a smile of relief or a smile of joy, but either way, welcome to the board early.
All I'm going to say is that I started off as secretary and then became vice president and then became president. So don't think it's just over after one term, folks. If you keep working hard and everybody likes you, you can come back. Okay, well,
or anyone, would you mind sharing just the overview of the expectations for secretary? What that entails?
Absolutely. So, secretary is obviously kind of I will tell you that all of the positions kind of fluctuate depending on the needs. Obviously, when we converted to kind of meeting virtually, that changed some of what things look like. As of right now, the secretary prepares the agendas for the monthly meeting and for the monthly board meetings. If we have a special meeting, the secretary would prepare the agenda for those as well. And then, of course, both document meeting minutes at those meetings and then publish them to the website so everyone can see those records. In the past, the secretary has assisted with monitoring kind of incoming email boxes. We have quite a few of those. I'm typically monitoring those right now, but the secretary has kind of worked with that in the past. So that's always a possibility as well. And then, of course, sometimes, depending on where folks live in proximity to the info center, sometimes the secretary will jump in on helping to monitor physical mail that we might receive and process those things. But for the most part, there's not a lot of paperwork. Everything is, pretty much digital. So just kind of your traditional agenda meeting minute items that you would think about. And then, of course, if there's a specific interest in something, there's always an opportunity for people to pitch in other ways if they have an interest and the ability to do so. So hope that kind of helps a bit.
And I think the biggest role for anyone on the board is like what Jess was saying, is really just the board carries most of the weight on like making sure that all the work that's needed gets done. And Zach, to your point on always needing more volunteers, like when we can't find more volunteers, then it falls on the board.
Yep.
So there's a lot of ways to get involved. So it's very fluid, as Jess was saying, and that's kind of the part that I've enjoyed the most. So like for treasurer that I've held for the last several years, it's not just about like keeping the books. It's also being able to get to jump in and lean in on, a lot of different activities, just whatever kind of needs to get done. So I've really enjoyed that dynamic aspect of the role.
Yeah, when we have our big events, especially like the festival, you typically see the board members kind of up there. We're the ones checking you out, selling you, drink tokens and things at the MBA tent. And then actually the yard sale that just happened, for example, some board members will go and deliver those yard sale signs and then pick them back up, or deliver shop orders. If someone orders a T-shirt here in the neighborhood, they'll go deliver that within a mile. And so little things that you might not necessarily think of, and we're just always kind of coordinating and figuring out who's got the ability to jump in wherever needed. So, yep, more volunteers is always a good thing, and we are always happy to take new folks on. So, as far as secretary is concerned, we will accept nominations for that role until the end of this meeting. Again, once this meeting concludes, if there has not been a nomination, we will not have a secretary nominee to vote on at the election next month, and instead we'll go into the vacant process, which is, to nominate that individual or have them nominated, share that information with the membership in advance of a meeting, introduce them at a meeting, and then vote the following month. So if you're interested and you just maybe aren't willing to commit to a nomination tonight because you're thinking about it, there's always time. All right. We are going to move on to the next item here. Let's talk about the yard sale. So our annual fall yard sale is this Saturday from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. That is throughout the Merion Village. We have, I think 33 registered locations. That's primarily residential, although there is at least one location in the event space at Moeller and Fourth. I believe it's being held by a group called Village Moms, and they're going to do a sale that's primarily children's clothing and toys. It's kind of like a group sale. So we do see those pop up at our yard sales as well. Either way, we're looking forward to a great day. If you look at our map on our website, you'll actually see not only the locations, but a list of different items and things that each place might be selling. And another nice feature is that many, if not all of our sales typically do take credit card payments as well. Maybe they take Zelle or PayPal. So there's lots of ways to shop, even if you're not someone that traditionally carries cash, which I think many of us do not at this point. So hope everybody can come out for the yard sale. Very excited to host another one. I believe this is the 7th or 8th year that we've been doing the autumn sales now, in addition to what we hold in spring. So we really love seeing those grow each year. Always a little bit of a challenge, since it's typically football day and nobody wants to shop during an OSU game, but we still hope it'll be beautiful weather and that folks have a great day shopping. So
come to Jenkins and Bruck and get lots of treasures at Jenkins and Bruck.
As you can see, Eric is hosting a sale.
I promise it'll be worth your while. Everything's $1.
Oh my, that's a pretty good deal.
Just take it.
So immediately following the yard sale, Eric, this will probably appeal to you. We will actually have a Goodwill donation drive at our info center. So on 4th Street, 1334 South 4th Street from 3 to 5 p.m. We will be accepting donations of clothing, shoes, housewares. There's a full list on our website of what is accepted and what is not. We cannot take furniture at this, simply we do not have the space. And also there are other items like televisions and baby furniture and items that are not always accepted. So please check those lists of what is accepted. And also you can bring your e-waste. So please make sure those are separate from your donations. But if you have broken printers or phones, old tablets, even broken Christmas lights that no longer work, we cannot take batteries and we cannot take standard light bulbs, but otherwise most e-waste items are accepted. It's a great way to do some fall cleaning and get those items kind of sent off for their next life. Goodwill does typically take those apart and reuse the materials where they can. So
Jess,
please
does
feel
that
free.
include cords?
Yes, yes.
Okay,
Like
good.
extension cords.
Cords and
Exactly.
electrical cords and
Yes. They do
plugs
not
and all that.
take TV monitors or computer monitors. Like those things are not accepted. But things like laptops that have a built-in monitor, they are. So again, just check that acceptance list because we do need to make sure we kind of meet those requirements for them. But we're very excited to be doing this again. This is actually the first time we've held this event in fall. We've been doing it after our spring sales for several years, and folks really enjoy it. So really happy that Goodwill was willing to partner with us again. And again, you can come down and bring your items for between 3 and 5 p.m. on Saturday. We cannot issue donation receipts because Goodwill will not be on site, but it is a great opportunity to get your house cleared out and get some of those items out the door here in the neighborhood. So hope to see you down there. All right, let me move on here. If you saw our advertisement, we have a special pre-order for Merion Village house flag. So it's a green flag, kind of similar to my shirt, that just features the Merion Village logo on both sides. It is an outdoor flag. You can order it with grommets or a pole sleeve, depending on how you mount flags to your home. We're closing that down at the end of September. I am leaving it open through tonight, just in case anyone here meant to order a flag and did not. I will put the link here into chat. One second, folks, just so you have an opportunity to fly your Merion Village flag and show your neighborhood pride. These are only available for pre-order. We will not be ordering and stocking these flags. So if you do want one, please make sure you get your pre-order in before the end of this evening. Okay, next up. I'd like to share with everyone that we have scheduled a special meeting with the folks from the Open Shelter. If you attended our meeting last month, there were some neighbors that expressed some concerns over issues with kind of the areas surrounding the open shelter. Lots of folks that were sleeping in the area, and unfortunately large amounts of trash that was in and overflowing dumpsters and of course around the area. So there were also some safety concerns. Those neighbors have been working with the director at the open shelter and the owner of the property to try to resolve those. But we offered to kind of facilitate conversation with community so that the open shelter can share about what they're doing, take questions, and then assuming if parties are interested, we will also help to facilitate a good neighbor agreement, which just kind of creates a structure so that people know who they can talk to if there are concerns without necessarily needing to, report a code violation to the city or something of that nature. So we are going to facilitate that on Wednesday, October 18th at 7 p.m. That will be over Zoom, just like these meetings. That is 2 weeks from today. And we hope everyone who's interested is able to attend and be part of that conversation. Excuse me. Okay. All right. Let's talk about another topic, the MVA Info Center. So if you have not been into the Info Center, that is the space that we occupy on 4th Street. We do, of course, store all of our items there that we use for all of the different events in the year. We used to have our physical meetings in that space, but now we typically hold events there like Founders Day, of course, the upcoming donation drive that I mentioned. We've had garden tour activities there. We've talked about doing some other things, maybe book clubs
Committee
or game
meetings.
nights.
We do committee meetings and stuff there.
Committee meetings, that's a good point. So what we have to present to everyone tonight is some new information. So we do not currently have a lease on the space, but our landlord has asked that we sign a 1-year lease on the space, which quite frankly does protect all parties involved. Our Vice President Lauren, who is an attorney, is helping us look over that lease to determine if there are portions of it that we feel would need to be altered to fit in line with how the MVA uses the space. But in general, it is a pretty standard lease. In addition to that, the rent that we pay for the info center each month is currently $500. The landlord originally proposed that that would be increased to $600. However, in conversations with the landlord, who does understand that the MBA is a nonprofit organization and is not a business, she has offered to raise that only to $550 per month. So that would be a $50 increase, and that would be a total of 60. I can't do math. Just a moment. I believe that's $6,500 a year. Is that right, Eric? No, $6,000 a year. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
So-
and just to also point out to everyone, since I've been in the association, not even just on the board for the last 6 years, but in the association for the last 8, it has never increased. So this is essentially a $50 increase in at least like 8 to 10 years, or sorry, 500. Oh my gosh, $50 increase in the last 8 to 10 years. So it's a pretty good deal, and I'm definitely supportive of it.
So what we've done on the board side before bringing this to everyone to share is kind of done the research as to how the info center is being used, what this would mean for us if we do sign a lease and continue with the increase. So first and foremost, if we were to discontinue our renting of the info center, the MBA would need to pivot to renting storage space. The storage space that we would need for what we have, there are a lot of things that we have, stage pieces for the festival, tables, chairs, merchandise, you name it. If you've been to our events, you know how many things we have, our giant canopies. The size space that we would need with rental fees, insurance, and all of the required fees that are associated with that from local storage facilities, that is going to average about $240 per month. Additionally, we would also need to obtain a PO box. That would be an annual fee, but it would average out to about $19 per month. And then, of course, it's also important to note that as of right now, the only storage facility that is located in Merion Village is U-Haul, and they do not have any vacancies. So we would also be looking at a storage facility either probably on South High or possibly on Alum Creek, which of course is not, would require a car trip to get to those items. So that's the first piece of information. Additionally, folks might want to know how the info center is used. So since we no longer have our monthly meetings there, we also want to make sure that the info center is available to the community. If you're a member of the association, you can actually reserve the info center for parties, meetings, things of that nature for free. And if you are not a member, you can rent the info center for $15 per hour. Last year, in 2022, we had a total of 5 reservations to use the space during the year. I think we had maybe a baby shower on one of those, and possibly like a meeting. I don't recall all of the uses, but there were a total of 5 in 2022. In 2023, including those that are scheduled for the next few months until the end of the year, there were a total of 24 rentals. So members are now really making use of the space, lots of different things. There's an upcoming pumpkin carving event for some friends that are kind of reunionizing together that haven't seen each other in years. People doing game nights. There have been children's birthday parties and baby showers. So lots of different uses. And everyone who has rented the info center has always taken really good care of it and puts it back to the condition it was in. So the question we have for everyone tonight, based on the information we've shared, how the info center is being used, what we would be doing if we were to keep it, which would be to sign a 1-year lease, and our rent would increase to $550 per month. The question we are posing is whether or not anyone would like to call a motion for the Merion Village Association to discontinue our renting of the info center and instead pivot to a storage facility PO box scenario. Is there anyone that has questions or comments about what I've shared, or anyone that would like to call that form of motion? I see a comment in chat, so I'll just read that. The question is, do members who rent for free ever donate something? Actually, yes, a couple people have donated games and books to the info center before. So there are just a few, like a small assortment of books and games at the center. Certainly, it would be interesting to grow that that collection if folks did want us to consider having some type of game night or book club hosted there. But there have been a couple of items donated. Actually, now that you mention it, just at the spring um, donation drive that followed the yard sale, a gentleman came in and asked if he could donate a new bathroom mirror to Goodwill, which they would have accepted. But we also asked him if he wouldn't mind donating it to the MVA instead. So for the first time in, I think, a decade, we now have a mirror in the bathroom at the info center. So yes, people do make donations. Certainly always looking for ways to help with that, but folks have certainly helped out.
And we also
And
know
then,
that there's been a few people that have actually signed up as for a membership to be able to use the facility
yes.
for free as well. So we've also seen, you know, several memberships that we probably would not have gotten otherwise. So, you know, the association is still benefiting, you know, from it regardless.
And then, of course, if you've ever walked by and, you know, the large glass windows we have, we'll print out giant posters for our upcoming events. We have posters that are always there so people can learn about the MVA. They can learn about whether or not they want to rent the space. So it's kind of like a big billboard for us as well. And there are a lot of folks who have joined and said, you know, we saw the info center and wanted to know more. So that is very helpful. And I do see a comment here as well in chat that comments there is an intrinsic value in having a location in the neighborhood for the neighborhood organization. Yes, I could not agree more. So we have
And I think
certainly really
as they continue to build out the Bake Me Happy, old Bake Me Happy building even more, and more of those businesses go in. And I know they've got, you know, several things planned in the next several months. You know, I think that's going to increase the foot traffic around the area as well. So, like, to Julie's point, I think that intrinsic value is only going to continue to increase over time.
I agree.
Indeed,
So-
and the coffee shop that moved in it has a very strong following, the Roasters, Jennings
Fantastic.
Java. So there will be an uptick in traffic back to that building. I'm very excited about that.
Yes,
Exactly
we're so
same.
excited
And
to
I
have
think
them.
there's a dance studio going up upstairs, and then the event space that's going to be in the back. So there's a lot of exciting activity there for sure, Julie.
And if you spend any time in the info center, sometimes, you know, if we're in there doing inventory or cleaning, I'll open the windows, and the number of folks who walk by with their children or their dogs, that is a true thoroughfare for the area. So it's great for visibility for certain. Zach.
I know I'm getting way
There
ahead.
you go.
I know I'm getting way ahead of myself here. Has the owner discussed any opportunity for selling and like right of first refusal or anything with the association?
So the owner of the building is actually they're co-owners. They are sisters, and they inherited the building from their mother, who did unfortunately pass away last winter. Their mother I don't know the exact number of years, but their mother, Mary, our previous landlord, owned the building for, I believe, close to 50 years. And so they have now inherited the property. From my discussions with our landlord, Annette, there is absolutely no intention in any near future to sell the building or make any major changes. In fact, our tenant neighbor next door, who is a salon, has been there for 40 years. And then, of course, South Bend on the opposite side has been there for many, many, many years as well. So as of right now, the co-owners are planning to keep this in the family. They did grow up in this area, and I do believe she will let us know. We've got a very good relationship if that's ever changing. But as of right now, there is no intention for that to change. Okay. Any other questions or comments about the info center? It does not appear that anyone is calling a motion to ask us to discontinue our rentals, so we will proceed with looking through that lease and determining what we need to do to get that executed with the landlord. And then, of course, I believe it would be, I'll verify, but either this month or November, certainly, the rent will increase to $550 per month. So, okay. Thank you so much, folks, for participating in that conversation. All right, moving on. Let's see here. I'm just going to read through some of the upcoming community activities. We, of course, have our yard sale and donation drive this coming Saturday. Yard sales from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m., immediately followed by the donation drive from 3 to 5 p.m. Story time at Walker Park is still happening. That is happening through October 30th. It is on Mondays, every other Monday at 5:30 p.m. So the remaining dates for that, we just had it this last Monday. It will happen again on Monday, October 16th, and finally on Monday, October 30th. So again, take your little ones to Walker Park at the corner of Morrill and Bruck, and here's story time at 5:30 p.m. before those wrap up. Let's see here. Again, we have our special meeting with the open shelter on Wednesday, October 18th from 7 to 8 p.m. We do try to keep special meetings to 1 hour, which is why we showed that amount of time. But we do hope folks will come and participate in that conversation. The more voices that can get involved, I think the better that will be for everyone. The Southside Area Commission has their monthly meeting on Tuesday, October 24th from 6:30 to 8 p.m. at Parsons Library. Our next monthly meeting will be Wednesday, November 1st at 7 p.m. Again, that is when we will be actually voting for the nominees who were presented this evening. So please plan to attend that if you'd like to vote. And we also announced that our winter potluck has been scheduled. So we do not have a monthly meeting in December. Instead, we have a potluck. I'm happy to announce that Hey will be hosting us again. They reserved the entire back room for us. And we hope you can join us on Saturday, December 2nd from 6 to 8 p.m. You can bring a potluck dish. We have a sign-up sheet online just to make sure there's lots of variety. It's really such a wonderful event. It's just a great time to connect with folks and kind of, take a breath before all of the holidays and end of year. And it's a really nice time to all just come together. So we hope folks are able to join us for that. Let's see here. Mike, I just skipped over this. Do you want to touch on socials? Or are we kind of wrapping those up for the end until the end of the year? What's your
I think we'll have another happy hour. I was texting Jess on the side before for last month, and we did not have a happy hour. I'd like to maybe explore some other options in the future going forward, but while the weather is still pretty nice, I think we will do one for October. I think we'll go back to Cabin Irish Pub, which is on South High Street and West Jenkins. They have actually a very nice patio out back, so take advantage of the warm weather while we have it. So I think we'll do that per usual, our third Thursday, and that would be the 19th of October at 6 p.m. So hope to see you there. But
Awesome.
while we're there, maybe bring up any ideas you have for other social things we can do. I'm open to anything, and if you'd like to volunteer to help run them, I'm super open to that too. But otherwise, I'll see you then.
Thank you so much,
Kevin's
Mike.
is dog friendly too, so you can bring your pups.
And if you hear some screaming pups, they're Eric's.
Yeah.
They're so cute.
They'll be the ones jumping up and down.
It's all right. They're adorable. Thank you, Mike. I'm sorry, I almost missed that. All right. Otherwise, I typically we open the floor here at the end. Is there anyone that has any questions, comments, anything they'd like to share before we meet up again at the beginning of next month? And of course, next month will also be our last meeting for the year, since we do not meet in December. So anything anyone wants to share or talk about? Julie.
Yeah, I did wonder who the current secretary is. I'd asked that earlier. I think that got lost in the
so sorry.
shuffle. No worries. That's why I asked.
Our current secretary's name is Lena. Lena actually does live in Hungarian Village now. She moved a few months ago. We did do a special vote so that Lena could remain in her position until the end of the year, but that is why she is not rerunning, because since she no longer lives in the neighborhood, she's no longer eligible to run for a board position. So that is a great question. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Julie, are you interested?
I knew it was coming.
I knew that was coming too if I asked the question. I just rejoined after several years back at the festival, surprising no one, right? So I am not ready to make that commitment because I'm actually involved in the Shamrock Club, also in a responsible position, but I wouldn't be above doing some volunteering and considering it maybe not right today.
We love to hear that.
Well, Zach will keep your name on his list, and we Lena's still in her position till end of the year, so maybe Zach will call you in January and see how it's going and if whether you might want to reconsider.
That might be a time to call me. Thank
Perfect.
you.
Zach, you got that written down?
We
Noted,
haven't even
I
had the
started
election
one
yet,
note.
and he's already
Yeah,
giving you tasks.
he's already given out assignments. Very nice.
Oh, wonderful.
I love
Awesome.
it.
Thank you so much, Julie. Anyone else have anything to share before we adjourn this evening? No? Okay, we hope everyone will come back next month again to say farewell to meetings for the year, and of course, hear about any updates that we have and vote for those who have been nominated. So thank you all so much for being here tonight. Hope everyone has a great evening. And as Eric said, keep enjoying that weather while you can.
Bye,
Everybody
everybody.
have a fantastic
Thanks,
night.
everybody. Great to meet you all.
You as well. Night, folks.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.